reversed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. It's 9:30. We have Mr. and Mrs. Cottrill here. We'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me be here. My name is Willard Cottrill. I'm Willard Cottrill's oldest daughter. Thankfully to this video, I've been able to watch from New York what's going on from my father's estate. My father died under suspicious circumstances, October 10, 2010. Since then, all I've been trying to do is get an answer and get this stuff wrapped up. Now, the reason I'm here right now is because the last time I heard on this video that something about there's 3 fiduciary commissioners, something about this has been handed back to some kind of civil court, and I'm here to ask who, what, and where, because I can't find anybody that can give me answers on any of this. All day yesterday, I'm running around town. Nobody seems to have any answers on my dad's estate. So that's where I want to start off is who is this? Where is the fiduciary commissioner now? What's the situation with this? And what's the circuit court that you said handed it back to in the last video about this?
The fiduciary commissioner is Bernie Mellon. He
Okay.
has not resigned.
Well, what happened to Linda Huff being appointed then?
She was
She was
not
never
ever
But she
appointed.
would have had to because Bernie Mauser said he didn't want to talk about it. Nobody could get a hold of him. I tried 4 times myself. He won't answer any calls.
She was never appointed as fiduciary commissioner.
Right, but I thought Bernie said he didn't want to handle it.
He has not informed us that he is not one.
But he hasn't informed you. Has anybody talked to him?
We tried.
I tried too. That's what I mean. He's not answering
We
the
have
phone at all.
We've tried several times to contact him, and I know that, excuse me, that the executor has tried to contact him. He has not returned any of their calls. He has not returned any of our calls.
So what do we do?
So, and right now, the only thing that we can suggest is to take it back to court and have him removed.
Which court would that? Circuit court?
It'd be to the circuit court.
So this commission has nothing to do with overseeing any of that kind of thing?
We cannot.
You can appoint them, but you
We
can't
can
take them
appoint
off?
them.
Okay. Okay, and the other problem that I'm having, because now, you have to understand, I have been circumvented from day one. This whole estate, this whole thing, I've not received one paper of anything about any land, anything from day one. I have the proof to show it that I was circumvented by my family. My father's will says, if one circumvents another, they get nothing. This is open and shut. My situation right now is that there is a man that has been taking occupancy of my father's property for 2 months now. I've talked to him, I've talked to the state police. I've come to you to say, does he have any paper filed? This man has no deed, no paper filed, and he says he doesn't have to go because apparently a couple of siblings have gone rogue and tried to do a backdoor sale. Now I say that because we did contact the executor last week about this sale and why are 2 siblings off making some kind of sale that I've got no paper, not a dollar, not a deed, nothing. So last week we contacted Mr. Michael Murphy, the fiduciary commissioner, who said he doesn't have any idea about the sale is, and when we asked him where the money was, he said he didn't know. So I'm standing here more than 3 years after my father's death, trying to get something to happen in this county to look in to find out what's going on. First of all, this murder investigation has been over 3 years. I asked last week, I called Mr. Huff to make an appointment to meet with me. I'm the one that asked for the investigation when I saw the situation that was going on. The day after, I also asked for an autopsy. That was denied. Mr. Huff will not meet with me. Everybody that I've talked to, the police, everybody, sheriffs, everybody says, you have to go to Mr. Huff, you have to go to Mr. Huff. And that's what I did yesterday. I was sitting across the hall from him. He wouldn't walk across the hall to talk to me. To this day, as I stand here right now, Willard Cottrill's daughter, it's supposed to be a 3-year murder investigation. And as of this day, Mr. Huff, Mr. Metz, nor Mr. Gerwig until yesterday have ever introduced themselves to me, let alone ever given me one update on anything that has happened in 3 years. Now we're going into 4 years, and this is a bit much. So I'm just asking for this commission's help directing me. As far as I understand, you guys are the highest here. All I want is justice for my dad. I want this to be wrapped up so he can rest in peace, so I can rest in peace. That's all I want. I want people to follow the directions. If an executor is bonded for $338,000, the executor ought to be here taking care of stuff. The will specifically said he was supposed to take care of the property for the heirs. He's done nothing in 3 years. I was just up there today, it's falling apart. And meanwhile, we have people living on it that don't have any official paperwork, except they say they have a bill of sale from someone. So I just filed papers yesterday to ask him to appear in a hearing next week to show me some papers. I want a copy of the paper, and then I'll go the next step, but somebody has to make these people liable. You know, and I keep calling the state police, and they keep saying, oh, it's a civil matter. What is the civil matter? This is a fraudulent sale. I don't know anything, the executor doesn't know anything, and this guy's just taking control of my dad's property because I'm in New York and because he can. I mean, I would look for your advice.
Well, when did we have Jerry up here?
He's in the building this morning because I was told he's up here.
He should be
He
here.
will not talk to me. He refused. I called last week to make an appointment to talk to him about the murder investigation because he's the one that's been doing it. I'm the one that asked for it the day after my dad died. I asked for an autopsy. It was refused. I've not heard a single word from anybody regarding it for 3 years. And that's why last week I said, all right, I'll make an appointment with Mr. Jerry Huff because they all say that he's the one that's handling it. He's the one that's refusing to answer the FOIA requests. 3 of them have been submitted now. Twice by reporters, once by myself, along with a nice letter just saying, I'm my dad's daughter. I'm being circumvented. Can you please tell me what's going on? He will not meet with me without Trooper Wheeler there, Sheriff Wheeler. Because now what I'm hearing from Mr. Gerwig and from Mr. Huff, Sheriff Wheeler is the only one investigating this supposed murder. 3 years. I haven't got a sink. He hasn't talked to me. I left West Virginia after 2 weeks after my dad died. The man never talked to me. Would not talk to me. So who's investigating my father's murder for 3 years? And why aren't they updating me? Because I asked for it. And I still am asking for it. I have tons of evidence that the police should have. I shouldn't be carrying it around. And like I'm saying, it's unfortunate some of the stuff haven't come out on the media, but sometimes it has to come out on the media so people can know. And a lot of people, what I get, especially in New York, is saying, well, if this happened and there was a possible murder, why isn't somebody arrested? And that's what I keep saying. Why does Mr. Huff say it's ongoing and nobody will tell me anything? I'm just begging you, help me. I don't know what to do next. All I'm looking for is justice. As I stand here today, I got nothing to tell but the truth. I don't have a dollar in this. I'm retired. I live in New York. All I want is that when a man makes his will, whatever that man asks for should happen. Period. I don't want nothing else except justice for Willard Cottrill. And that's why I'm here just asking for your help.
Let me see what I can figure out for you here.
And even today, when I just went down to the office, this is the first day that I saw the assessment that ever even said what all my dad had. Nobody ever offered me anything. Not to sell it, not to buy it. I never saw what he had until I just got this paper. I just got the bank amounts that they took the money out of. First I got. Nobody's told me a thing. And my father's will says if one circumvents another, they get nothing.
Right.
How do I proceed with that?
See that property, the big farmhouse and the trailer on there was rented, but her mom and sister Benita
Don't get too deep into it.
threw them out in the dead of winter. And they called them up and asked them did they want to buy it.
I don't know who's doing all these shenanigans. I don't know. All I know is
You don't
that
know
this
even who the investigating party is, do you?
They all now, finally, 3 years, just this past 2 weeks, I've got them to name Trooper or Sheriff Wheeler. And they
No,
said
she
because
knows.
he's
Mr.
the-
Wheeler's not a sheriff.
Both
He's a
deputies.
deputy.
He's the only person that I ever saw in 2 weeks, by the time I left West Virginia. There were at least 4 witnesses that watched what happened to my father. After 2 weeks, I left West Virginia, chasing Mr. Wheeler down. I had to force him to take 2 statements, one by Ruth Mitchell and one by another friend of ours. He didn't want to do it, but he did. By the time I tracked him down after 2 weeks, because I had to go back to work, and I said, Mr. Wheeler, where are we with this investigation? Can you tell me what's going on? Have you talked to this person that was there, this person that was there? And his answer was to me after 2 weeks, I haven't had enough time. This is a possible murder investigation. You got people in from New York. You've got morphine called in by a doctor and picked up by 2 people from out of state that got no reason to. There was no reason for my dad to be given morphine, none. There's witnesses there. I talked to him the day before. I have his discharge papers from the nursing home that say, yeah, he had pneumonia, he's getting better, activities as tolerated, and 6 days later the man was dead. 6 hours after morphine was called in and picked up. That doesn't sound right to me.
Was hospice involved?
No.
Nope.
That was attempted cover. What they did is they came in that night, Ruth Mitchell was there, Carol Peterson was there, which was my friend of my uncle's. Frida Cottrill was there because she helped my sister hold my dad. And some lady that was, Frida's mother was sick down there in the nursing home for a long time. So I know Frida knows a lot of people. But my sister at about noon, called down to the pharmacy, or called down to Hillary Miller and said something, from what I understand, that Hillary Miller, Vanita told her, oh, he's really sick, I'm a nurse, my dad is dying, I need the morphine, oh, please let me just put him out of his misery. He wasn't in any misery according to people that saw him that morning, and I talked to him the day before, there was no hospice there. They tried to use her to bring her in, but according to the eyewitnesses, she never did a thing and said she wasn't authorized. I believe she was brought in as a friend, and they were gonna use that excuse. Now, also, keep in mind, when this was going on, 3 days later, I was supposed to have been out of the country. I never would have known about any of this, except that like 4 hours after I found out that my dad had died under the circumstances, because there was no reason for him to be dead, I drove down to West Virginia, and I got there, and I saw the entire house looted. Everything my dad had was gone, with the help and assistance of the executor, Mike Murphy. I stood there with my own eyes. The man is bonded to be the executor, $338. As an executor, you don't stand there and help criminals load up their cars full of guns and everything else they can get their hands on before the man was ever buried. I couldn't even be at the funeral, but I did go to the cemetery. While I was up there on the cemetery, apparently Melvin Cottrill, and there's a witness down there, and Melvin Cottrill drove my father's truck off my father's land while I'm crying at the cemetery. That's how fast they were looting everything. Everything was gone before he was buried. That's what the problem I have with Mr. Murphy is, because he was down there helping him. And I watched, and I've been trying to say that from the beginning, and nobody will do a thing. Again, I say, I'm asking for your help, because I know this stuff just isn't right. And my dad didn't deserve it. My dad worked hard. He was illiterate. He built himself up from living off, he lived at a riverbank. Built himself up from a riverbank. Couldn't read or write to build that mountain, and he did every day of his life that he was able to get out there, as he states in his will, for a legacy for his children, to be divided. That's why he put in there, if one circumvents another, they get nothing. So that's what I'm asking. How do I stop this rape and pillage of my father's property? It's been 3 years now. What if the guy goes up there and starts pulling the timber down? Who's going to do anything? And I don't know what else to do. Gone to the law, and they decide, oh, maybe he'll get a will eventually. I said, well, when he gets the will, then maybe when he gets the deed, he can move in.
And that was Michael Murphy appointed as executive.
You all appointed him at the, I think it was February meeting, I think it was in February. He was appointed because Brenda, it was actually referred to Brenda Lawson. And
Right.
she resigned.
She resigned. Starting back at the beginning, because it's hard to get anybody to do anything. You're right, it's hard to, because they're Brenda Lawson, she was the first
And
asked.
she said that there was discrepancies and she no longer wanted to handle it.
Okay.
So that's why Bernie Mauser was appointed, and, I mean, it just goes from that point, because we don't know, we've tried to contact him and he has done nothing, and, I mean, and I know that Michael Murphy has tried to contact him.
And I have tried to contact him myself.
He has contacted us and talked to us, and, you know, there's not much that we can do except for just send it to court.
Well, it's getting to a crucial time by now. It's been over 3 years.
Yeah.
And I have to think about this every day. Just trying to protect my dad's land. That's all I want. Like I say, I'm retired, I have my own home, I don't have a penny in this. But I know the day I die, if I leave a will and I say what I want to happen on that will that I worked my whole life for, I hope somebody is gonna uphold that will. And that's what I'm trying to do for my dad, and that's all I'm trying to do. Just trying to save it right now, because it's been so long, and these people are just like going crazy.
Right.
And so that, I've even called the law, and I said, what are you gonna do? This man thinks he's owned it. He's threatened me upside one side and down the other, screamed at me, and I was trying to help him at first. I didn't know he was there, till I got told that four-wheelers were down on my dad's property, and I said, what do you mean? And then the state police called and said, well, he's buying it. I said, what do you mean he's buying it? I don't have a paper.
He's buying it, like
He
land
told
contracts
me-
supposedly,
He
or?
said, and Sergeant Yost said, he had seen a bill of sale written out by my brothers. Now, even if it was just my brothers, that's only 2. Even if they wanted to play around and try to use the will, it says 3 against 1. So, and besides the fact, it's all illegal to sell it because it can't be sold, because if they go around me, it's all mine anyway. So, from what I can understand, and I've been asking for a copy of the bill of sale, this guy says, Mr. Yost, or no, Mr. What's his name?
Neil.
Mr. Neal says he has a bill of sale, he's in there, that's it. My brothers went down there and made some kind of deal with him, signed some kind of paper, he's taken over the whole mountain.
But
He said to me, Mr. Neal said to me, because I said, Mr. Neal, you need to just not get into this right now, it's, you know, it's all going on, the estate hasn't been settled, there's a lot of mess, I'm trying to help you, save your money, just wait. And he said to me, well, can you give me the same kind of deal they're giving me? I said, well, what kind of deal are they giving you, sir? He says, 47 acres for $40,000, with pristine woods, a pond, all free natural gas. I said, sir, I can't give you that kind of deal because it's not for sale, first of all. I said, and doesn't that sound just a little bit too good to be true to you? And then he apparently talked to the police or whatever, and then he called me back, Mr. Neal did, and he was screaming at me, I mean screaming, I kept saying, Mr. Neal, please lower your voice. Mr. Neal, you know, you called me, Mr. Neal, please don't be so angry, but threatening us and all this kind of stuff, so that it's very obvious now, he's dug his heels in. I expect he'll be here this weekend to go deer hunting, right there on the property. It's my property, I don't have everything that says it isn't. So that's,
my statement is he's gonna have, if this was sold, it would have to be recorded.
exactly,
And
and
Gary Wolf, have you talked to him to see
we
the
talked to
tax?
everybody.
Because
The
from my
taxes are
understanding,
paid.
it is still Willard Cottrill.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I've just asked the police to ask this man cease and desist until we get
Right.
this figured out.
Right.
He will not do it. The more that we said that, he called them up, and then he
He
said,
won't do it or the police won't do
no,
it?
the police just keep telling me it's a civil matter. I said, this is not a civil matter, this is a criminal deal. And they're like, well, they showed me a piece of paper. I said, well, look, I can run up to the kitchen and write me a piece of paper too. That doesn't mean it's legal. I'm telling you, I'm showing you the will, I'm showing you the deed. My name is on these posted signs around here. Mr. Neal has no right now to be on that property legally that I can see. And that's why I just filed papers yesterday for him to show the paperwork. And if it's illegal, come and show it to me. All I want is a copy. I asked Sergeant Yost, all I want is a copy. Can you guys just give me a copy of what Mr. Neal has? He would not do it. So that's why I'm here, is just trying to figure this out. I've gone through all the channels, everywhere I can, just. I love my dad. He's my best friend. I'm here for him. I can't take another fourth either.
Right. Understand.
Sorry, I think I'm having a little pop this year.
Well, Jane, our problem is for the last 7-8 months, we
Thank you
keep
so
hearing
much.
this is a civil matter.
And I keep
Everybody
doing
that's
that.
involved, I've heard the prosecuting attorney say it, I've heard the sheriff say it, I've heard many people say this is a civil matter and that's where it needs to be set.
Can I just give you some background on that? What that
Yes.
has been is from day one, I have a tape from the time I buried my dad, I went home, I turned on my answering machine, and there was my brother, I had the tape right here in my bag. I kept it on the answering machine because he told me right on that tape that my 3 siblings wanted to buy that land, they were gonna sell it, and if I didn't like it, I could be kicked to the curb. And that's exactly what they did. My entire family, because I wouldn't go along with this sale 3 years ago, disowned me completely. Tells everybody as much garbage as they can. Well, you can see me today, I'm pretty put together, you know what I mean? But that's why I have not gotten one single paper on anything, nothing.
I think that, for that reason right there is why a lot of people think this is a civil matter, because if you go back to the will, and you're exactly right, because we read the will, and one circumvented, they were out.
Right. And so what I'm saying is since day one, they started,
Yeah.
You remember.
they only have been going to try to move off the property so they could sell it for more. My dad said in his will, he wanted lifetime rights, he told me 1,000 times, she lived right here, dad was a loving man. They wanted to move her to a barn, they want to put her like in a doghouse down there, I mean, that's what the only court case has been, is that they have now, they took it, they were gonna ask for jury trial. A few days before that, their lawyer, Criswell and them, said, we want summary judgment. So then I see this paper that says if I'm not here to answer this quiet title and this and that, I'm gonna lose all my rights to my inheritance in 2 weeks. So I ran down here in 2011, tried to hire Mr. John Oshaway, which didn't go so well. And, yeah, but so the only matters that have been going on, and like I said, they took this all the way to Supreme Court, because how desperate they are to move this poor woman off the land that my dad wanted her to live in, just so they can sell it for more of the whole property, because nobody wants to buy it with somebody living on it, and you don't blame them. But they shouldn't be buying it, it's not for sale. That's been the only issue in court, is her on the land. That's the only thing that is in that whole suit, that's it. The only other thing that's been going on is this now over 3-year investigation into my father's death, which I have the briefcase of evidence that could probably put 5 people in jail, I'm telling you right now, truthfully. I don't know why the police don't have it. I don't know why they have, nobody's contacted me in 3 years. I don't know why nobody's talking to me about it, but enough is enough. Willard Cottrill needs justice. And I'm asking you. It is even a possibility that a special prosecutor can come in and handle this, because it doesn't appear that Mr. Moore wants to.
What I found for you is the appeal process to take this on to the circuit court. You have this already?
I'm not sure.
It says, according to this section, an appeal must be filed within 4 months of the final order. The party must file a request for the appeal with the clerk of the county commission, who in turn collects the county court filing fee, which I think she said was $155. The county clerk must forward the filing fee and the final order and the request of the appeal to the circuit clerk. The party appealing pursuant to West Virginia Code 58-3-1A is entitled to such an appeal as the right of trial. No bond may be collected from the party. Here's the whole process.
Okay, so right now, nothing is in any kind of civil court. There's nothing at all going on right now, right?
No, ma'am.
Correct.
Not that I know of.
Okay, and did you find out anything from Mr. Huff about, would he be willing to speak to me about this murder investigation, or, I mean?
I did not get a hold of Mr. Huff.
Okay, well, I knew he was gonna be in the building today, but
Yeah.
like I say, that's why I'm here in front of you guys. I've gone up the whole chain of command as politely and gently as I can. I don't know what else to do when the prosecutor will not even introduce himself and say, hello, Ms. Cottrill, I'm working on this, we're gonna get to this.
Where's your contact information, Marty?
I can give it to you, I don't have a card.
Right about
It's kind of hard from New York, so I'm really appreciative of the videos. It's a long trip.
Is that process, is that the same process that they talked before there was a civil matter?
Yes, sir.
So, but that's just details how to go about it. Right.
I will try my best to contact Mr. Huff this afternoon.
I can you know where I'll be available at this afternoon.
Okay.
What's your last four numbers, Ruth?
5084.
508. Because, and I'm concerned because very likely Mr. Neal's probably gonna come in and try to claim his property this weekend, and I have every much as right to go on my dad's hill as he does, and that's what the police said, and I'm worried. Already the state trooper, when I called him and asked him, he said, well, Ms. Cottrill, I'd advise you not to come down, because I asked him about this situation. And then I called again, and I said, now if I go up on this hill today, up on my dad's hill, up to look at his grave, I said, what is gonna prevent Mr. Neal from coming down there and bringing out a gun and saying, well, this is my property? And the state police told me, he says, well, he could do that. Not legally. I've got nothing that says he's got any right to that land, and it doesn't sound like he does have any right. Nothing's been filed.
We haven't got a deed put on record in the
Right.
clerk's office.
Right.
Every
2 months
time-
is, what's the usual amount of time that it would take to process papers like that? Isn't 2 months getting to be a little bit lengthy?
I really don't know, and honestly, and I don't know if he even has a deed.
Oh, that's what I
you
mean,
know,
should a man be
I
on the
can't-
property before then?
I can't answer that question, that's the question an attorney's gonna have to answer. I mean, I can't answer a question, you know, I don't have any legal.
No, Mr.
You've
Huff-
spoke with your family members,
They disowned me. They completely have gone around me, and nobody has ever had one conversation with me about my dad's land, whether I was in it or not. They knew how I felt about my dad. They knew Dad never wanted his land sold. They knew I was not gonna go along with them because I don't need the money. I'm not in it for fast cash. What Dad wanted and what he crawled at that mountain to clear the land, and it's a beautiful, beautiful property, what he wanted is what matters, and that's why I'm here. Not for me, not for nothing else. The man should deserve what he wanted with his land, and that's why I'm here. Asking for any help you guys can give me, I appreciate it.
Well, that's about as much help as we can give you right now, and I will contact the prosecutor and try to get him to contact you, and if not, I will get some information and we will contact you.
I would appreciate it, because like I say, I have a lot of evidence and stuff that was never taken. Nobody, Mr. Willard did not want anything to do
And
with
Marley, I
it.
want you to know that we don't have anything in that.
I understand.
And I know that you're just telling and you're ready to vent, and it's, I can imagine
Yeah.
the situation you're in, but we don't have anything in that. But I will contact the prosecutor today, and we will try to get some, what answers that we have anything to do with.
Right, because, yeah, 3 years is a long investigation, and I should suspect he'd have a pretty thick file folder on it, because I sure do.
The only thing you're asking is just that you get to meet with him. We are out of that.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm
That's
just,
all
I'm appealing,
really
yeah, I'm
he's
appealing
asking
to,
him
yeah, I
is,
just
will
came
you meet
with,
with this lady?
right, and I just came to clear up the, the fiduciary situation, because, and what's gonna happen with that if Mr. Melder doesn't do anything, because, like I say, it's been 3 years long. How much longer is this held up? Well, everything my dad has been
Well, you have the process now to
Yeah.
take it in.
Did I hear you say earlier that you did hire an attorney?
Yes.
That didn't work out?
What
That's
happened
why-
is, a year and a half after this was all going on, nothing had happened. I got, they hired Criswell, some big firm out of Charleston, I don't know what it was, and I did hire an attorney because I got a paper that said it was a summary of quiet title. It listed me as a defendant and Ruth Mitchell as a defendant, which I don't know why I keep getting listed as a defendant. And that's what I said in Judge Alsop's court. I said, I'm here, but I have nothing to defend. I don't know why my name is on this paper, except that I won't go along with it. But yes, I did come down, I saw that, I saw I had 2 weeks to get an attorney. I came down here, I went all over town, I went to people like Shelley D. Marino, who at the time I didn't understand, laughed in my face, laughed at me. I'm distressed, my father just died, laughed at me and says, oh, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I went around to many different lawyers in a panic. I did finally find Mr. John Oshaway, who I did retain, partly in cash and partly in check when I went home. Well, turns out Mr. Oshaway did almost nothing for what I paid him. It started out that, first of all, he didn't even have correct in his ledger how much I had paid him, and denied I had paid him. So first step, I had to go home and go to the bank, have the bank print me out a copy and show Mr. Oshaway, yes, in fact, I did pay you that much. And he still wouldn't do anything. Anyway, a year and a half it took me with the Office of Disciplinary Counsel that they went through to intercede on my behalf, and he did have to pay me back that money. He did have to show much, he had to refund half of basically what I gave him. And he also got talked to because he was trying to charge me like $300 for work he did after I dismissed him. So then he was trying to charge those papers, so he got that back. So basically, he did nothing from me. I spent another year and a half of misery trying to get what he rightfully should have paid me, which he did now. But now everybody tells me, oh, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer. Where? I'm not rich. Tell me, where am I going to get a lawyer that's going to touch this case? So I appear pro se and do the best I can for my dad. That's all I can do. So I appreciate your time and your help, and I hope I'll hear from you later.
Okay.
All right, thank you
You'll
very
hear
much.
one way or another.
Thank you
But
very
see,
much.
when her brothers came down, was harassing me, I had to call the police. They treated me like I was a piece of trash.
Well, the police will never
They
come.
treated me bad.
Because they say it's a civil
Especially Ben
matter.
Huffman. Ben Huffman,
All right.
he was rude, very.
I will just say, I have been there several times, and when this first went on in 2010, when we were actually having to have men guard us with guns, that's how bad it was. We did call the state police and the sheriff several times, and they did not respond. And I don't understand that. So, anyway, thank you for your time, I appreciate it, and I hope to hear back from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry, don't you ever tell anybody heard me keep my mouth shut.
See you guys.
See ya.
Ready to.
Goodbye.
Shall we do anything?
I'm sick of this.
I'll probably go up to Roost, do you want to meet us up there?
Yeah.
Do you want to call it? All right. Unless you want to meet us.
Okay.
All right. What's that on? Oh, first.
Marley,
Sorry, sorry. I got all nervous.
Probably.
Yes.
Copy of that. 50. There's 30.
Oh, all right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are these yours? Are these yours?
Some of the worst ones.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.